Third phase of moon.
Welcome back, everybody from around the world. We've got the UFO sightings just in to Third Phase of Moon. Blake Cousins, good to be with you. We've got some videos that it seems to me that it proves that these UFOs are interested in volcanoes. Mount Etna captures something from their security cam, and we also got a video from Russia. Thanks to Hidden Underbelly 2.0, he wanted to get our opinions. Let's just roll the first video now.
Просто в небе что-то болтается на одном месте.
Humanoids, UFOs, they're all over the place. And now that we're in 2021, the Jetpack Man or these humanoids have made their appearance around the world. Even FAA pilots are reporting them. Now we see this in the Russian region. Is the phenomenon worldwide? We look at this Jetpack Man from the Sling Pilot Academy that was captured earlier this year, and it's interesting that again we see these humanoids taking over the airspace. Now we have them in Russia, the United States, and across the globe, even South America. These humanoids are on the rise. Is there some kind of technology that we're not aware of? Is there Elon Musk with some kind of jetpack out there? When we look at this one coming in from Russia, this humanoid or whatever it is remaining very stationary in the sky. It has this wispy legs on it. Some people might claim it to be a witch, as they say in South America, but when we do a side-by-side comparison to the Sling Pilot Academy, there is a difference. We see technology in this shot, no doubt about it, comparatively to what we saw in Russia. In my opinion, these are totally two different things. Sometimes we have high technology behind flight in regards to an individual human piloting these things, and then others could be something else, like something maybe organic or some kind of natural phenomenon, or maybe an interdimensional being, and dare I say, maybe even paranormal. So the humanoid mystery will continue, and I'm hoping we even get more of these things. So again, I want to thank the Hidden Underbelly 2.0 for getting us this footage. We even have more footage from him, and we're about to share it. Let's get to it. It's coming in from Mount Etna. Watch this. So we're getting a closer look at this. Did you see it? Something is incredible in this video, and I'm so glad these webcams over Mount Etna is able to capture this kind of phenomenon. We have this a star shooting in from the right, and then this other object shoots directly from behind the volcano itself. It's very interesting. Is this possibly maybe an aircraft or the TR-3B? When we see it shoot out behind Mount Etna, it has this triangular shape, and this isn't no airplane or any bokeh lens. This is something that is captured within the infrared eyes to the mountain. Again, we're getting these close-up shots. I did a little bit of speed up so we could get through it and see even more clarity. The video was a little blurred, but as we look at this more and more, in my opinion, it proves that there's evidence in regards to the energy the volcanoes harness, and it seems to me our little friends or visitors are very, very interested. A totally different visitation, not in regards to Space Force or secret technology. No, there's other things out there that we are not aware of, and they could be otherworldly, in my opinion. Just saying. Now, we speak to Dr. Michael Sala, who has a very big insight in regards to the Space Force and what's going on. I want to share with you again my recent interview with Sala on location on the Big Island of Hawaii. Please enjoy. To this secret technology that is yet to be released to the public. We know we're seeing things next to the ISS, these UFOs that are appearing more and more. Is there already a secret space fleet in space in regards to the Space Force?
Oh, there definitely is already a secret space program that has been run by the Air Force together with the National Reconnaissance Office and the CIA. And what has happened is that because space was always regarded as a benign environment by international law, the secret spacecraft that were built were controlled by the CIA and the NRO and the NSA, because these are all oriented towards intelligence gathering. The idea of space as a warfighting domain was deliberately subjugated so that when it came to the deployment of these spacecraft, it would always be the intelligence community that would have control and command over these craft. What we have now with the introduction of Space Force is the idea that space is a warfighting domain, and so that means that when it comes to the deployment of these secret spacecraft that have been built and deployed in the 70s and 80s, that the intelligence community isn't going to be the one in control anymore. It's going to be the actual Space Command, which is going to be in control. So it's really revolutionary to actually, not only have the creation of Space Force and to have these secret spacecraft redesignated in terms of how they are used, but also it's vital to understand that because space is no longer viewed as a benign environment where satellites and space assets are protected, space is now going to be considered to be this dangerous warfighting domain, and so that means Space Force is going to take control of the assets that are up there.
So let me ask you, Dr. Michael Salla, in regards to this threat, the TTSA, they're always saying there's a threat, there's this government faction that's foreign, and these lights in the sky are a threat. Do you really believe that these craft from another planet are actually a threat to humans, or is it something that is being piloted by humans? Let me just say, is the alien UFO that's being piloted by aliens a threat, or is it like a human that's piloting these incredible UFOs that our Navy pilots are seeing?
Well, what we need to keep in mind is that a lot of these UFOs that are seen coming out of the ocean, there are secret bases, extraterrestrial bases deep in the ocean, and those have been there a long time. So if they had any kind of hostile intentions towards humanity, we would have known that. They could have taken us over during the kind of pre-industrial age rather than waiting until now. So they have no real hostile intent towards us. They're more monitoring us. But what has happened is that over the last 50, 60 years or so, because there's been a lot of reverse engineering of captured extraterrestrial craft, we have had these secret space programs developed by the Air Force, by the Navy, by the intelligence community, by the corporations, and other countries have been doing the same thing. And so what the Navy pilots photographed in their F-18s off the coast of the Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans in 2004 and 2015, I believe that these actually were reverse engineered craft, that these actually belonged to the Air Force Secret Space Program, and that they were actually being tested against the best Navy intercept craft and the Navy's best radar tracking devices, so that the Air Force guys could see how their reverse engineered spacecraft could operate. So these are not a threat, but the fact that the TTSA is spinning all of this to make it look like a threat, I mean, this really does bring to mind that maybe what we have here is a kind of like a psychological operation to condition us to think of these craft as a potential threat, because there's still a possibility that at some point you can actually have this false flag event where aliens are depicted as invaders or actually intervening in some way in human affairs.
So let me ask you, so if it's not a threat and these craft are being reverse engineered and it's being spun in the media, and that's what's kind of weird right here at Third Phase Moon, we've reached out to all the major media, Fox, CNN, the New York Times, the LA Times, the list goes on, but they only want to talk to the TTSA in regards to this threat that's going on, or military eyewitnesses. They don't want to talk to the public. Any reason why?
Well, I think that's something we need to be very suspicious about. Why is it that the mainstream press is going to that particular source consistently to get their interpretation of what these craft that have been captured on video and that were witnessed by the Navy pilots have seen, and what those craft are? That because the press is going consistently to this particular source, they're getting a spin, and that spin is always that this is a threat. And you can appreciate that this is part of this kind of conditioning of the rest of humanity, of getting people to think that this is potentially a hostile presence that may be related to some unknown foreign adversary, maybe extraterrestrial, maybe some underwater, subterranean civilization or so forth, to just kind of like put this degree of uncertainty there, and to make the TTSA the kind of like authority on what this is. And really, when you look at those people, a lot of them have this kind of military intelligence corporate background, so they are totally controlled by the deep state. They're putting out a narrative to get people to think in a particular way, and we need to be very suspicious of that.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that they refuse to take the public's information. In my opinion, I think that's where the real juice of the subject matter really is. Now, let me ask you this, Dr. Michael Salla, in regards to the General Ashed over there in Israel. He came out, he said some major statements in regards to advanced technology, even tunnels underneath Mars, and even the president knows about this, and apparently, according to Ashed, that the president's going to release the information that he knows about in regards to UFOs. Do you have any hope that might happen?
Well, this Professor Haim Eshed's testimony is very important. I mean, he gave an interview on December 4 with an Israeli newspaper that came out on December 4th that really covered a range of issues, and he talked about extraterrestrial life, talked about secret agreements between the US and the aliens. He talked about a galactic federation, and people are very skeptical about whether any of this can be true. But the fact that this person actually ran Israel's spy satellite program for nearly 30 years, very high credentials, a brigadier general in the Israeli Defense Forces, someone that was responsible for designing and setting up these Israeli spy satellites. And actually, he was a guy that was part of Israel's Unit 81, which is this top secret IDF unit that does really incredible work with advanced technologies. They're kind of like a combination of DARPA and the CIA's Science and Technology Directorate, where they're doing all this kind of exploratory work with these breakthrough technologies. So he was part of that as well before he set off to manage Israel's satellite program. So this is a guy that's in the know of Israel's deepest secrets. So the fact that he has come out and said that these agreements do exist is confirmation for what whistleblowers and insiders have been saying for decades now. And now we're getting it from this really high-ranking Israeli senior scientist. So it's making it much, much harder now for the mainstream public and academia and others to dismiss all of this as a fiction. And so people are starting to look at this all again with fresh eyes. And the fact that he actually said that Trump was told that we aren't ready yet by the Galactic Federation, I mean, that's telling us that Trump knows a lot more than what he has been saying in these kind of like very brief media interviews where he makes very vague comments about UFOs being very interesting and Roswell. He might declassify all of that in the future. He's making very vague remarks, but according to this Israeli scientist, Trump knows a lot, and that kind of fits in with his history. I mean, his uncle, Professor John Trump, was the guy that was reviewing Nikola Tesla's papers on behalf of the FBI to look at any possible national security threat by the release of those papers into the mainstream. And so that means that his family has always been in the know or in the loop on some of these really incredible breakthrough technologies. And so I'm not surprised at all that this Israeli professor is saying that Trump knows about aliens and was actually told that humanity isn't ready yet. And I think that's actually going to give us some insight into what may happen.
So do you think the general from Israel will inspire other people within the government of our own background into this technology and inspire other people to come forward?
I think what this professor has done is he's broken the ice. I mean, he's made it clear that it's okay to come out and talk about these things. I mean, you can look at what he said in the interview quite closely in terms of he was very careful not to reveal any classified information. He spoke in kind of very general terms. So he was careful not to reveal anything about Israel's spy satellite program, anything about any classified program, but still revealed that there are these programs that do exist involving extraterrestrial life, talking about agreements, the Galactic Federation, talking about these joint bases on Mars that are run between the US and the extraterrestrials. So he was talking about these things in ways that he could reveal it without jeopardizing any kind of disclosure, non-disclosure agreement that he has reached. And this is very important because it provides a way for others that have had similar experiences to come out and start talking about these things. Because typically what happens is that these extraterrestrial agreements or these extraterrestrial related projects are always buried underneath a classified program. You know, if you're talking about spy satellites or rocket technologies, and you can't talk about that program because that's highly classified, you don't want to reveal that. But the deeper program is the extraterrestrial one, and so you can kind of like talk about that in general terms without revealing any details about the kind of cover program concerning satellite technologies, rocket technologies.
Sure. Well, let me ask you this. Let me back it up a little bit, change the subject, because, you know, there was talk on the major media. Tucker Carlson, other major news organizations announced that we have recovered vehicles not of this world. And then obviously we know they kind of retracted the story. Basically, it was Roswell 1947 all over again to shut down the story. But Bob Lazar talks about this off-world vehicle was discovered in an archaeological dig. So what is it? Is it crash retrievals or is it recovered archaeological finds that reveal this, you know, extraterrestrial craft? What's your opinion?
Well, what we know from people who have come forward and talked about the recovery of these craft is that often they are taken or found in remote locations, that there seems to have been some kind of incident, a crash of sorts, and that these craft are then taken by secret teams, Operation Moondust or Operation Blue Fly is some of the kind of code names used to describe these top secret crash retrieval teams, and they take the retrieved craft to secret facilities like originally it was Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, but later on it became Area 51, the S4 facility there at Papoose Lake. Now that is different to these archaeological digs that have been occurring all around the planet, you know, in terms of like say the Giza pyramids. There have been reports that they found ancient extraterrestrial craft there. I'm sure that they found evidence of these craft in remote locations like India, Tibet, Egypt, of course, South America. And wherever they find this information, these technologies, whatever artifacts, they bring them back into the United States for study. But I think where the reverse engineering of these alien spacecraft has been most successful is the retrieved craft that have been taken to Wright-Patterson or to Area 51, and corporations have studied these and then built their own flying saucers or their own flying triangles or flying rectangles. So, you know, many different configurations, but these are things that have been built from retrieved flying saucer craft.
So these findings, obviously you would think that civilians would be finding these archaeological finds, digging it up. Not always a government faction is there to see this being undug. Usually it's found by just normal people treasure hunting. Are they keeping these people, these civilians that have found these craft, silent? And if so, how do they do that? Because in my opinion, again, usually a treasure hunter will find something, not necessarily a government faction with these archaeological finds.
Well, there's a document called the Special Operations Manual. It's part of the majestic documents that Dr. Bob Wood has accumulated along with his son on their website. And it details the procedure by which when any craft or any kind of advanced technology is found, how the team moves in to retrieve that technology, and how there are these other teams that come in to sanitize the area. So if there are civilians who saw the craft or the archaeological artifacts and that these have some kind of extraterrestrial connection, those civilians are debriefed, told to be quiet, not to talk about it under threat of dire retribution. And so that typically succeeds when they use that kind of carrot and sticks approach to these civilians. That's certainly what's happened with the 1947 Roswell crash. It was a classic carrot and sticks approach, and Mac Brazel, who turned over access to this retrieved flying saucer craft, he benefited quite handsomely from some kind of like cash or some kind of inducements given to him.
So basically what you're saying, it's pretty easy to suppress a story if a civilian or citizen found something that was otherworldly and just offer them a large amount of cash to be happy, turn over the evidence, and you'll live a happy life, and don't question anything after that. It's basically what you're saying.
Totally, yeah, exactly. Because if you have a team of special operatives coming into your home, I mean, they're very threatening, very intimidating, and they tell you pretty clearly that this is something that's of national security interest and you need to be quiet about it. But we will give you this if you remain quiet, and if you don't, then these are some of the things that might happen. And so people typically take the inducement and accept that, and it's very rare for people to kind of risk the wrath of the intelligence community, because these people don't take no for an answer.
Well, you know, this is what I got to say, guys. If anybody out there finds anything, they dig it up and they find something out of this earth, just come to Third Phase Moon. We'll share it to the world. We'll just bust it right open and get disclosure right away. That's what we're here for. I want to thank Dr. Michael Salla for joining us. This has been an incredible, insightful discussion we've had. What are you going to be up to next?
Well, I'm now working on exactly what is going to be happening in this coming transition we are witnessing with these elections, and what that's going to mean in terms of disclosure. Like what can we expect with the next president? What kind of disclosure events are going to happen? So I'm looking very closely at that, because I think we are at a really important transition point in our society, in the United States and around the world. And I think disclosure is going to be a big part of a new world that's coming our way.
I want to thank Dr. Michael Salla again for joining us. And for you people out there that want to find out what Dr. Michael Salla is up to, we're going to supply his original link below. Go take a look at him and tell him Third Phase Moon sent you. If you captured anything amazing in the sky, or you dig up something amazing, like I said, contact us right here at Third Phase Moon. Blake Cousins. Keep your eyes on the skies, everybody. We'll see you real soon.
Looking around, thinking it's only you. Only to find we're many more than a few. Where do they lie? How come we seldom see them? Right in between the lines is where they reside. No reason to fear, we know who's here. The narrative falls, trickle through the years on everyone.
Third Phase of Moon, new album, Behind the Veil, is now available worldwide with the original song like Going to the Moon.
We'll get lost on the way to the moon. Out there where there's asteroids, we'll hit you right on the way to the moon. On the way to the moon.
The American flag on the moon. It had to be understood in the context of the Cold War as our delayed answer to the Russians sending a satellite into space first.
Are you ready for the Men in Black? They're out to get you if you're not careful.
There's really no escape no matter what you do. The Men in Black keep coming back and watching over you. You take the hills and I'll just keep this dusty road. Let's get out together while keeping our mouths closed.
Tracks like We're Not Alone,
Looking around thinking it's only you, only to find we're many more than a few. Where do they lie? How come we seldom see them? Right in between the lines is where they reside. No reason to fear, we know who's here. The narrative falls, trickle through the years on everyone.
going deep into the mystery of the Majestic 12. Pulse pounding, get you dancing music.
Alright, how close do they keep the secret to the rest? But that's not to say they were alright. How long will they keep the secret to the rest?
Who's ready to go for a ride with Meta Propulsion?
Is at the forefront, chemical injections needed, but not from this world of research is what they will call it, and never let you see any result. Yeah, we're using electromagnetic fields. There's something out there with us.
12 brand new songs available right now on all audio streaming platforms like iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and TikTok, and much, much more. Check out the link to the entire album right now. The link is in the description below. Third Phase of Moon, Behind the Veil. Get ready to take off to another dimension.
So